Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over a very controversial and important topic in the Fortnite community, the importance of ping. Ping is one of those things in Fortnite that most people definitely know is super important, but unless you've experienced or at the very least seen the difference between good and bad ping firsthand, you won't understand how truly important it really is. Now, real quick, let me take a step back here and give you guys about a one-sentence explanation of exactly what ping is, just in case you don't already know. According directly to Wikipedia, which, don't let your teachers fool you, is a reliable source, ping refers to the network latency between a player's client and the game server. Ping is reported numerically as an average time in milliseconds. The lower one's ping is, the lower the latency is and the less lag the player will experience. So, if you didn't know before, well, now you do. And ping is obviously something that's important in almost all multiplayer video games, and especially first and third person shooters. But the building mechanic in Fortnite is something that's extremely unique in shooter games, and therefore really complicates and emphasizes the importance, advantages, and disadvantages of either a high or low ping in Fortnite. So that's the gist of what we're going to be discussing, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright guys, so I want to start this video off by showing you guys two very short video examples that really highlights the difference between high and low ping in regards to certain mechanics in Fortnite. So these are two separate videos that I saw on Twitter from the Fortnite pro at SomHotS, bit of a confusing name there, so I hope I didn't butcher it. The first video you're about to see shows very clearly the difference between turbo building walls to block shots when you're playing on a good ping versus a bad ping. It's only about 20 seconds long, so try to pay attention, and let's roll the film. So as you guys saw, this is just one of many examples of how huge of a difference ping can make in Fortnite specifically. The player with a good ping was able to turbo build walls without taking a single point of damage, because not a single bullet from 4 clips of an SMG got through any of the walls. And then the player with worse ping does the exact same thing, yet dies with 200 health in what appears to be about 3 clips of SMG shots. Now, we don't know the exact ping of either player in this situation. The only clue that was given to us by the video creator is that it's an East Coast player versus a West Coast player, but based on the fact that the guy who created this video is a Fortnite pro, I find it hard to believe that he has anything less than really good internet, and therefore I would guess that he probably gets somewhere in the range of maybe 50 to 80 ping on East Coast servers as a West Coast player, and I'm guessing that the East Coast player playing on East Coast servers in this scenario probably had a ping in the 10 to 30 range. And again, those are all educated guesses, but that's typically what you'd see in a situation like this. And the point I'm trying to make here is that a lot of people have this kind of misconception that ping isn't a huge deal in Fortnite unless yours is just outrageously bad. And when I say that's a misconception, I don't mean that having outrageously bad ping isn't a big deal, because oh my goodness, it 100% is. I legitimately feel so bad for people that consistently play on anything over like 80 ping, because the disadvantage that puts you at is just so insane and unfair at the end of the day. But the difference between something like 20 ping and 50 or 60 ping is also a really huge deal, even though just number-wise it may not seem like it. To further expand on that point, I'll now show you guys the other 20-second clip, which uses the same principles as the first video, and as I mentioned earlier, is by the exact same guy. But this time it deals with breaking and replacing turbo built walls instead of using them to block damage. So again, let's roll the clip. So what you just saw was another fundamental feature of combat in Fortnite being totally different for two players just based on both individual players' ping. The player with bad ping broke and tried to immediately replace a wall about 5 times and didn't succeed once. Then the player with good ping tries the exact same thing and is able to beat the turbo building and break and replace a wall on only a second try. And since I saw it a few times in the replies on Twitter, I have a feeling I may get a comment or two along the lines of, well, both of these clips showed how ping affects turbo building, but that's only one small feature in Fortnite, who really cares? Well, first off, turbo building's a feature used by probably about 99% of good Fortnite players, and because of that, it's a fundamental feature of building in Fortnite. So I'm guessing a ton of people care if that feature's effectiveness is so heavily impacted by ping. And second, turbo building is definitely not the only super important aspect of Fortnite that is heavily impacted by your ping. Some other major examples I can think of just off the top of my head include things like ghost shots with shotguns, enemies phasing through your builds, and maybe most importantly of all, editing in general. It's such a factor for all of those major things that you have guys like Tfue who literally travel across the country from West Coast to East Coast just to play an online Fortnite tournament, since most of those are played on East Coast servers. And I can personally attest to this as well. Luckily, now my ping is really good. You'll see in my gameplays that if I'm on East Coast servers, I'm very rarely playing on anything over 20 ping. But I've recently been doing some 1v1 playgrounds against players on West Coast servers, which bumps my ping up way higher than normal, and that is actually exactly what inspired me to make this video, because things I took for granted, such as simple editing and building techniques, are just so much more inconsistent on bad ping. It really brings me back to the days where you couldn't instant edit and it would just feel like a total game of chance of whether your edit would go through or not. Now, because I'm lucky enough to have such a good ping, people see that all the time and ask me things like, how do you have such a good ping, or how can I improve my own ping? And the reason why I don't really answer those types of questions is because sadly there isn't very much you can do about it. If there were one simple trick that could easily make someone's ping better, well then ping wouldn't be such a problem in Fortnite or any video game for that matter. It's really just directly correlated to your internet speed and the servers you play on. If you have good internet and you're playing on a nearby server, you really shouldn't have many problems. The only minor tips I can give you guys include trying to limit other electronic devices in your house that are using the internet when you're playing video games, and if possible, hardwiring your console to your router. Wired internet is so much better than wireless internet, so if you play Fortnite anywhere near your router, definitely look into getting it wired. But I'm guessing that most of you guys already knew that stuff, and the truth of the matter is, Epic is really our only hope to fix the ping problem at this point in Fortnite. I see players giving Epic a lot of flack for the major role that ping plays in their game, but honestly, it's definitely a little bit unfair to blame them for that. Here's a Reddit comment from JShreds, who's a live operations analyst at Epic Games. And this comment details a lot of the problems on Fortnite's end that lead to players getting higher pings. He says, as I mentioned above, we're constrained by hardware availability as well as matchmaking population health. Other games are not nearly so demanding on servers and don't require such high-end hardware, and thus can be run in more locations. Likewise, games like League of Legends have 10 players per match, and they're guaranteed to maintain those players all the way through a match, which can take 30 or more minutes. In Fortnite, we have 100 players per match, and have players being eliminated and queuing up even while previous matches they were in might be ongoing, which means the matchmaking demand is significantly higher. I wish I had a better answer because I really want to improve your situation, but there's not an easy solution at the moment. We'll continue to work on developing our strategy, but I have nothing I'm able to announce yet. One proposed solution involves adding more server locations around the world to better accommodate players living in less populated regions on the planet. A big example of this would be a central US server, which could bridge a lot of the ping gap between East and West Coast players in the United States. But according to another comment by JShreds, this simply isn't possible yet. So at least Epic is being honest and transparent with us, which I really do appreciate. But I'd be lying lying if I said that I see a major fix coming anytime in the near future. And although JShred seems to have a grip on the problem as a whole and is actively looking into ways to fix it, it's still very disappointing to see a message like this from another Epic employee saying 80 millisecond ping is perfectly playable, even competitive. Because that plain and simple just isn't true, and anyone that plays on or near 80 millisecond ping would be able to tell you that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to leave me a comment down in the comment section below. I want to know, when you guys are playing on your normal servers in Fortnite, what ping do you usually get? Me personally, like I said, I'm usually in the 5 to 30 range on NA East, but I want to know about you guys. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.